Hello, welcome to Monitoring Academy and thanks for watching this video. My name is Aldo Bugossi. I am a Level 2 engineer for IBM. Today I will show you how to configure APM Ui 7.7 to use LDAP authentication instead of the default basic authentication. At the end of this video you will be able to populate LDAP repository with entries required for APM authentication, configure the Liberty XML configuration file used by APM Ui 7.7, reset the APM Application Repository connection to have SCR in sync with the new authentication configuration. By default, APM 7.7 uses basic authentication, that is a file-based method where you need to manually insert and maintain authentication information into XML files. The main file is called basicregistry.xml, that is located into directory APM Ui home, that is this one, under directory USR shared config. You can open with any text editor file. If we have a look at this file, we can see that it contains definition for APM admin, that is default administrator user, and another user called Joe. You can also define group here, as I did for group ID APM admin, that also include the user ID Joe. As you can see, the password is encrypted, but all the changes you perform into the file must be done manually. So, for example, if you want to add a new user, you need to create a new row with a new user ID tag and the name of the new users. Then, if you care putting password in clear text, of course you don't want to put password in clear text, you need to encrypt the password using a tool called security utility, and we will use it later for a different task. This method can be fine if you are running APM in a test environment or for very small environments, but of course in case of production or integrated environments you need something different. LDAP makes user and group management much quicker, but in order to use it, we need to perform some steps to enable APM Ui in using a different authentication method. So, first of all, we need to populate the LDAP server with the necessary information. In my environment, I installed TDS 6.4, but of course you can use any LDAP directory server, including Microsoft Active Directory or OpenLDAP, whatever you want. When a new LDAP server is installed, usually it is completely empty. So the first step will be to create the entries related to organizational units and users. You can see here, I used a simple hierarchy with base DN, that is equal to DCBM, DCCOM, an organizational unit called L2 team, and another container called user, and then finally the definition of the user ID with the related attributes. This is very important. You can see here also the user ID APM admin. It is important this is also defined into the LDAP repository, because if not, once you switch it to the new authentication method, you will no longer be able to use a APM admin account. So to quickly implement these changes in the LDAP, you can use your own the GUI that is provided by the directory server, or in case of big changes, you can use an LD file that contains all the necessary definition. And in my case, this is the LD file that I have created and used. As you can see here, we have the top level DN, the definition for the L2 team organizational unit and for user container, and then the definition for the user ID. As you can see here, it also includes the user password, and it is in clear text, but of course when it is imported into the LDAP, it will be encrypted into the LDAP repository. For TDS, the LD file is imported using the management tool, simply running this step. You need to define, you need to pass the name of the LD file, and then just run the import task. when you run the import task for the LD file, the LDAP server is stopped. Okay, the activity is terminated successfully. Now we are going to start again the server. And then using any LDAP browser, you will see, we need to connect again, you will see that the entries are there. Okay, they were actually already there, but just I wanted to show you how to import an LD file using TDS. What we need to do now, first of all, we need to modify the content of the LDAP registry.xml file to provide the information needed by APM to connect to the LDAP server. File LDAP registry.xml is defined into the same directory of basic registry. And it contains some information concerning the connection with the LDAP. For example, the host tag, in the host tag we provide the name of the IP address of the LDAP server. In our case, it is 192.168.22.6.151. Okay, the port is the listening port of the LDAP server. 389 is the default one and it is good for us. In base DN tag, you must specify the base root for the LDAP search. In my case, I specify the real root LDAP root because it is a very small LDAP database with just few entries into the LDAP repository. But in your case, you might want to specify a base DN at a lower level of the tree to restrict the search to a specific tree branch, and so as a consequence to reduce the response time. In LDAP type, you must specify the type of LDAP server. There are actually different possible options here. You can find details in the WebSphere Liberty manuals, and but in our case, IBM Tivoli directory server is just fine. Bind DN instead is the tag that must contain the DN, the user, that they use to authenticate with the LDAP itself. In our case, it is CN root, but of course it can be anything, depending on how you or your administrator configure the LDAP server. And bind password is the related password. As you can see here, it can be an encrypted string. You can also put a clear text string here, but of course it is not a good idea if you are interested to protect your environment. And to obtain an encrypted string from your clear text password, you must use the tool called security utility. The binary of this tool is into directory APM home bin. And the tool must be invoked with option encode in this way. And then here you put the password that you want to encrypt. It returns the encrypted string that you will then copy into the, that you will then copy into the LDAP registry file. In place of the current one. Okay. Move on and let's look at the other parameters. Actually, the current configuration for user filters and group filters is fine. So we are going to filter by UID and object class inet or person. Just be sure that the filter defined here match your LDAP server schema and that all should be just fine. So it should be okay now. I don't think we had to add anything else. So exit from the file, save, and move on. In order to tell the APM UI to use the LDAP registry.xml, we need to alter the Liberty profile configuration, because at the moment the APM UI is still pointing to the basic registry.xml. What this means? Basically, it means that we need to edit the server XML file for the Liberty servers that are going to use LDAP repository. In our case, we can do it for APM UI server and for SCR server. So first of all, let's change the server.xml file for APM UI server profile. Let's move to APM home user servers APM UI, and let's open the server.xml file. We need to move to the row that starts with the include location. So let's make a find here. As you can see, at the moment the basic registry is still enabled. We need to comment out this row in this way, and uncomment the next row, that is the one related to LDAP registry. Okay, now we have enabled APM UI server in using LDAP registry instead of the basic registry. Into the file server XML, you have the chance to define for each application ID the roles and the users assigned to that role. For example, for application ID APM UI, this one, we have a security role called APM admin, and I defined these three users, APM admin, Aldo, and Joe, to the role APM admin. The same for REST admin and console admin. Okay, we can save the file and exit. In order to enable also SCR to use the LDAP repository for the authentication, you need to do the same. So you just need to move into SCR directory and open the server.xml file for the SCR Liberty file and do the same here. Okay, we are not going to do it now because it's not strictly required for our purpose, but the task is exactly the same. You need to uncomment the basic registry, to comment the basic registry line and uncomment the LDAP registry line. Okay, at this point we need to reset the SCR connection. This is a required action because when the SCR administrator user is defined in the LDAP repository with a different password, it could not be able to correctly authenticate. So we need to run this connection reset, and this is done by using the con manager script. The con manager script is available into directory APM home /usr/servers /APM UI /apps/custom CFG. Oh, sorry. First of all, let's list all the available connection, and to do this, we need to run the script with this syntax. Okay, after some typos, we were able to get the output list. The connection that we need to refresh here is the SCR1. So let's run the command with another syntax. That is this one. Instead to use the -L, we will use the -A, that means add or update, then PH, where you specify the host of the SCR server. In our case, it is still localhost. The port, the listening port for the SCR server. The user ID that is used to authenticate. In this case, it is the same of the APM Ui server. And the password. The last option is the name of the connection. Okay, it returns successfully update a connection. The SCR connection at this point has been refreshed, but we need to execute a stop start of the APM Ui, and in case of the SCR server, in order to validate the new configuration and to make it operative. So let's move to APM Ui, APM home bin. And recycle the two servers. Okay, the APM Ui server has been started. Now let's start the SCR. Okay, now all is ready, and let's move to our browser to try the connection. If you remember, we have a user ID called Joe in the basic registry file, but that is not present into the LDAP repository. And in fact, the login is failing because now we are pointing to the LDAP server. Instead, in the LDAP server, we have a user ID called Aldo that was not present into the basic registry file. And in this case, we are going to use Aldo to authenticate. And that's it here. We correctly logged into the APM Ui. If you want, we can add a new user into the LDAP database. We can use again the functionalities provided by the LDAP browser, or just import a new LD file. And I have here another LD file that I previously prepared, that is addpit.ldif, where I defined a new user ID called pit. We can run again the management tool of the TDS to to import this new user ID into the LDAP server. Let's do this way. Load the LD file. Let's try to validate if the syntax is okay. It is going, of course, again to stop the server. Okay, it completed successfully and there are no errors, and so we can proceed with the import of the LDIF definition. Let's go and start again the server. It is up. Now we can see, let's reconnect to the LDAP browser, and now we can see that there is another user ID, a user ID, Pete. Let's see if we are able to log in with Pete. Okay, it's worked. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.